Hello friends, and welcome back to ReddX, your source for the freshest Reddit content anywhere on the internet. Promise swearsies is just a fact. Today we're jumping into some rSlash neckbeard stories with a little dabble of rSlash tales of neckbeards. Because, I mean, they're basically both the same thing, aren't they? They're just set up in two different places. I check them both quite regularly. And we finally have enough stories that I think are decent, so we can put a video together, get it out there for you guys. Yum yum. So neckbeards, if you don't know, are those gentlemen who will probably call you milady and move Bibles into the fiction section. They generally think they're superior to those around them without having any sort of credentials to back that claim up. It's always fun, it's always cringe, so without any delay, let's go ahead and jump right into these stories.
I set you up. I deserve a threesome.
Oh god, is that how it works? So this is gonna be a train wreck of a post, if you couldn't tell from the title, but I'll try and piece the whole story together. Sorry, it's long, and I'm sorry if the formatting is bad, or if this is in the wrong place. I'm also gonna give a general trigger warning for this whole post, but I'll post another warning when things get really bad. TLDR, which is supposed to come at the end. Creepy guy sets me up with a girl, tries to get us to have a threesome with him, and when that fails, he threatens my girlfriend and claims that he has
multiple personalities
that are violent. Quite a train wreck indeed. So when I was in my junior year of high school, I broke up with my boyfriend after a toxic relationship. We had a mutual friend who we'll call Jay, who sided with me after the whole thing, as he had seen how awful my ex was. Jay is our neckbeard of the story. He was 2 years younger than me and had dated my sister, but we remained friends as we had quite a bit in common, and my sister didn't have any issues with him, they just didn't click. He was around 6 feet tall, not fit, but not overweight, blonde hair that always looked dirty, and BO that you could smell from a mile away. He also had sort of a neckbeard. It looked more like unkempt stubble, if that makes sense. At first, he was very nice, and I will say that he was kind to me all the way until the end of this ordeal. But to everyone else, he was kind of an asshole. Now, I wasn't completely oblivious, so I saw these red flags going into the friendship, but after my ex, I felt like I had no one, as my ex had tried to cut me off from all of my friends, so basically, I would take whoever I could get. And I got Jay. We started hanging out more, not romantically or anything like that, just eating lunch together or going to the mall. He didn't show any interest in me, and everything was fine until my senior year. This is where O comes in. O was a shy new girl, about a year younger than me. She had long, dark, wavy hair, big brown eyes, and the most beautiful voice. She loved singing, anime, playing guitar, video games, and Vocaloid, which she got me into. My kind of person to hang around with. We didn't really get to know each other until second semester, as we both started vocal lessons together as an elective. This was a very small school. We started talking, and I fell hard. I'd come out as bisexual the year prior, and most of the school either knew or assumed, but I don't think O knew. Now, we only had that one class together, but she and Jay had quite a few. They had become friends, and eventually we all three started hanging out. Eventually I told Jay that I had a crush on O, and he said that he did too. I asked him if it would be awkward and said I could back off if he wants, and he said,
"It's fine. It won't bother him who she picks."
I assumed everything was okay and continued to awkwardly flirt with O. This went on for about 2 months before the trip. A little explanation. I went to a private rich kid school, and every 2 years they would host a trip overseas. This year was to Japan, and being that O and I both studied Japanese, we were very excited. Jay would also be going, and a few of our other friends. Well, as luck would have it, O and I were assigned as roommates on the account of us being such good friends. Yeah, my school just kinda completely forgot that girls can date. This made the staying in the hotel awkward, but what was more awkward was Jay asking me about it. He would ask if I had made any moves, no, or if I had seen her in her PJs. We both covered up because we were awkward. I just wouldn't say anything, and eventually he dropped it. One of the days on the trip, Jay said he needed to talk to me. He told me he knew that O was into me and that I should make a move. I didn't believe him and was shy anyways, so I brushed it off. That was until that evening. Our group ended up going to a show that had one of the girls dressed in a slightly revealing kimono and beautiful makeup. Now, I'm not proud of myself, but I might have watched her a bit longer than most. I was sitting next to O and noticed that she was watching her too. This ended up with us confessing to each other that we were bi, which gave me enough confidence to ask if she was interested in me later that night. She said yes, and we agreed to start dating when we got back to the States, which we were headed back to the next day. In the morning, I told Jay, and he basically took credit for setting us up. The next few weeks were amazing, and Jay was very supportive. Of course, though, in hindsight, we all know that it's gonna get weird. About 2 months into our relationship, I was about to graduate, and Jay had started sending O weird messages. Stuff about
polyamory and how beautiful she was.
And when she said she was uncomfortable, he would start talking about me. Now, I'm a busty girl. O wasn't as well endowed. He would talk about how
I had enough boobs for both of us, and how he wanted to bury his face in both of ours to compare.
I didn't find out about this until he started begging O to convince me to have a threesome with the two of them. I was horrified, and so was she. We both blocked him and stopped hanging out with him at school. When we eventually confronted him about it, he hinted at it being
the least we could do
for him setting us up. Ugh. We stopped talking to him and I graduated. O and I stayed together, and after about 6 months, she reached out to Jay to try and be friendly again. I heard all of this over the phone from O, so I might get some of this stuff wrong. Everything was fine for a while, until Jay started making sexual advances towards O. He said that
since OP was gone, they could be together.
She rejected him and blocked him once again, but this time he didn't let it slide. He started spreading rumors, starting with her leading him on, until he started saying that both of us were sleeping with him and he was rejecting us for a relationship. I didn't care about how it affected me, as I had graduated, but I knew it hurt O. Again, we went to a tiny school, and even if they knew that she was telling the truth, there was still the tiniest shred of doubt. She eventually reported him to the principal, which was what started the threats. O got a text from another guy at school. It was a screenshot of text sent from Jay, all detailing graphic things that he wanted to do to her. I'll list some of them. I'll have to paraphrase as I don't have them, but they were pretty violent.
Major trigger warning.
Some of the texts.
I want to bite her ear off slowly and watch her bleed. I want to put her on a guillotine and watch her head roll. Someday, maybe I'll just show up to her house and do what I want. Not like she could fight back. I'm gonna go to her house with a gun and take her and myself out.
O took these screenshots and brought them to the principal. Good move. Jay was in huge trouble and there was talk of expulsion, but nothing really ended up happening. Bad move. Jay's mom was the head of the science department and they couldn't lose her, so that's how he got away with these things. She also defended him, which became student versus teacher. When questioned by the other students, Jay claimed that
he had multiple personalities and they were to blame for his violent behavior.
He said that
he couldn't control them,
but also refused to get help. Now, I'm not a psychiatrist, and neither was O, but I was diagnosed with OSDD-1B in 2018, and O knew about this, but Jay did not. I was immediately critical of his claim because, 1, he said multiple personalities, as opposed to the updated name dissociative identity disorder. 2, alters are rarely violent to others. In most cases, they're violent to other alters, if they're violent at all. 3, I never saw him switch. He would just become visibly angry and claim later that that was someone else. 4, it just really seemed like a cop-out for his behavior. When the board found out, they said he needed to get a psychiatric exam, but that never happened. He did eventually leave, months later, but not for anything related to this. He was being bullied after he dated a 12-year-old at the age of 17 and then threatened to force her to sleep with him. And again, the school did nothing about this. He left because he no longer felt welcome. Thank you for reading. I'm sorry this is long. Honestly, I have more stories about him and other generally creepy guys O and I have had to deal with, but those are for other posts. Well, that certainly was a train wreck. That might have been more than a train wreck. What's above a train wreck? Like a spaceship wreck? Just a bunch of salvage burning up in the atmosphere, raining garbage down on the unsuspecting citizens. And he got away with it all because his mom is head of the science department. Oh, mommy! Mommy! These girls won't let me molest them. Okay, well, I'll defend you because apparently she's looking to raise a little rapist or something like that. God! I know words like that can get me demonetized, but I don't even care. It is the point. That's exactly what this dude is. It's disgusting. Two-faced little bastard. I just hate him. I mean, high school was a long time ago for me, but I don't remember any sort of shit like this happening. This is absolutely wild. Maybe it has something to do with being from a rich high school. Like, I don't know if rich kids or poor kids are better or worse than one another, but immediately I'm inclined to dislike rich people just based on principle. Because you don't get rich working a 40-hour week at a job. You get rich by exploiting the hard work of others, which I guess is a necessary evil. I personally don't think that this particular neckbeard will ever become rich. He's probably going to end up in jail for sexual assault at some point. I don't know how he didn't get that psychiatric evaluation. Like, please report him to the police or something like that. Those text messages are super disturbing. It's basically an admission of like, I'm going to go to her house and rape her with a gun. And everybody's just okay with this? That is so wild. Where do we go from here? I guess we'll find out in the next story. So let's jump into it. Neckbeard at local field. Is that what it's called? I'll start by saying that this was a guy involved in my hobby, and wasn't the only case. Airsofting is a hobby I've been doing for years, and for those not familiar, it's almost like paintball. I could add more info, but it's a waste to explain, and that would take me a while, so you just need to understand that people can get really involved in the hobby, and sometimes take it too far or seriously, as in most hobbies. So one day, at a local field, I noticed a guy wearing halo armor made of foam. It was really cool looking, so he got a lot of compliments. Anything new to Airsoft is considered cool and a great way to expand the fun. He brought a friend who I will label Palpatine, a big guy who was very obese. I love to meet people and get to know what they get out of Airsoft as people have different approaches, but I started chatting to Palpatine and he explained that
he likes talking to girls at Assassin's Creed.
He showed me his necklace and hard plastic axe. It isn't too rare to see melee weapons. I use a cutlass sometimes. A few minutes later, he wanted to have a sword fight, which I was open to as they can be fun, but he was talking about how his axe could break bone. This comment immediately put me on alert. I don't judge people for their weight, but this man thought he was a nationally ranked runner, and it put lots of others off of talking to him. He was the kind of airsofter to get way into it, as if it were real combat. Different people like and dislike this angle, but I generally avoid them, as it isn't fun anymore. I stepped back from him just to catch some air, and finished preparing my gear for the first game. Palpatine was wearing a shirt and shorts, common gear for people who don't want to spend a large amount. The catch, though, is that he wore an expensive mask and gun, both valuing $800. You can spend around $300 and have a great set of both. First match went well. There are about 8 of us, 5 of them are my close friends, and all of us would do this on a weekly basis and are familiar with the rules of the field and the etiquette. One of the 5 gets into an argument near the end because Palpatine would say
he hadn't been shot,
even though he would complain about the pain. Airsoft referees are very fun because they know that it's a sports hobby and they want to keep it that way. He calls out Palpatine to say that he should stop complaining about basic airsoft. This doesn't stop Palpatine, who proceeds to whine about being
shot in the knee.
I used to be an airsofter like you, then I took a pellet in the knee. Palpatine is already out of public favor, and he would keep up the regular antics until he switched modes. He put this dark black robe over himself that barely fit him, and this is where the name Palpatine comes from. He wouldn't stop talking about how
he's a ninja and could outrun us.
This, we could tell, was entirely false. He tried being sneaky, but would hover around the map looking like Palpatine. Needless to say, people didn't like his attitude, or his belief that he, for some reason, was above the rules. He even made everyone uncomfortable with his talks about girls, which he wouldn't stop talking about even if none of us were listening. His friend in Halo armor was just as bad, but at least he kept his mouth shut most of the time. He would drop comments such as,
"I would F my teacher after class," and "girls love me."
and this blindsides us, as we didn't expect it from the guy showing off some fun new items. Just like most neckbeards, they had zero awareness of social cues, such as the pure disdain we showed for their comments. It was also the day I learned that you show interest after they tell you what they like to do. If you're thinking about Airsoft, I would recommend you go once or twice, instead of burning almost 1K on something that wasn't even being used properly. I could unpack even more of their shenanigans, but I am just tired even thinking about that day. I'll only do it if you want more details. For Airsofters out there, this was an outdoor field in SoCal. He was using a WarQ helmet and Crytek LVOA. Now, I don't want to disparage anybody's hobby, you know what I mean? I play too many video games. I probably don't have much wiggle room to speak on what somebody else is doing for their hobby. But like, wouldn't these guys be more comfortable LARPing? I mean, on the scale of cool hobbies, I'm pretty sure LARPing is below Airsoft, isn't it? I'm not sure of the science behind that. I could see myself doing either one if it didn't involve, you know, going outside and running around in the woods. But I'm sure if Palpatine brought his cool axe to a LARPing session, and he's like, "I'm a barbarian and my axe can break bone," then the Paladin's just like, "I'll lay on hands, it's whatever, and I'll crush you with my maul." You know what I mean? It actually does sound kind of fun to me, but I'm a massive nerd, so I can understand why these kind of milsim sort of people don't get into it completely. But yeah, OP seems pretty chill. At the end of the day, it is just a game, you know what I mean? Don't take it too seriously. If you want to wear Halo armor, then that is your right. You can go ahead and craft all the Halo armor that you want, but just keep in mind that you are not Master Chief. This is not a combat scenario of any sort. You're basically just shooting each other with little pellets. And I think that's exactly what I would tell basically anybody who's out there taking it too seriously. Like, hey, you're still playing dress up in the woods and just shooting each other with like plastic BBs, okay? This is not a military training exercise. We're out here to have fun. If you're not having fun, get out. Oh, this video's getting beefy, but we're gonna shove one more in here because I want to make it all that it can be. You know what I mean? So one more story, and then I'm gonna get out of here.
And this is the tale of WeebBeard, the Smelly.
It's not the most clever name that I've ever witnessed, but I kind of like it. Oh, hey, first timer here. Been seeing a lot of these stories, and I decided that I'd share my own. Fortunately, this experience was over rather quick, as my life choices upset the guy after he found out. For some backstory, I'm a trans guy. Pre-everything, since my family's not as supportive as I would wish they were, and because I'm still in high school. The neckbeard in this enchanting tale, we will call him WeebBeard. Fit the stereotype rather well. He never showered, hella greasy, and was a little bit of a creep. The only thing that doesn't fit is the beard part of a neckbeard. We were young, and I doubt he can grow any facial hair at all. But as always OP, it's the beard on the inside that counts. WeebBeard was an old friend of mine from 4th to 7th grade. I was a very awkward and tubby kid, as was he. I was one of the few people who would talk to him, considering that we were both very antisocial. We both became friends, along with another guy, Will, not his real name obviously. The three of us were inseparable up until 6th grade. By our elementary school there were 2 middle schools. Me and Will would go to the newer one, while WeebBeard went to the old one. We stayed friends, but WeebBeard soon grew distant. We went to different schools and really didn't have much to talk about, so the friendship ended pretty quick. 6th grade went well enough, and in 7th, WeebBeard had been moved to my school because his old one was becoming overpopulated. Us three quickly caught up and became friends once again. But by that point, I'd made other friends and grew to like other things, like drawing and anime. WeebBeard stayed relatively the same as far as I could tell. After about a semester and a half into the school year, I noticed him acting odd. Every chance he got, he would get into my personal space, sometimes even putting a hand where the hand of a 7th grade boy does not belong. I asked him to stop repeatedly. This upset him. After he stopped for a bit, it came to my attention that he had been spreading rumors about us. He claimed up and down that we were dating, and considering he didn't try and hide how close we were as friends, people believed him. We were far from well known, so most people just shrugged it off and didn't think much of it. It upset me though, so I confronted him about it. He used that as his chance to
ask me out.
I used that loosely, considering nobody actually goes out in middle school. Obviously, I said no real fast, and that was pretty much the last time we interacted other than some simple hellos when we passed in the hall and things of that sort. Will had also pretty much ignored him. The two of us had already grown apart by then, though. Close to the end of the school year, I moved away. Now that that's all out of the way, time to get into it. Oh, that wasn't it? Alright, cool. It's been almost 3 years since I spoke to either of them. I mostly forgot about them considering I made new friends. I'm now, I would like to say, talented artist. Soon enough, I can make it a part-time job and start commissions. One day, someone DMs me on Insta, saying, and I quote,
"Hello, old friend."
Confused, I looked at the account, and sure enough, it was WeebBeard. His account was full of anime memes that he probably stole, and beginner drawings under bad lighting. One photo that stood out to me was one of him holding a body pillow with an anime character that I didn't recognize. I don't often watch anime anymore, as I find it hard to pay attention. Nothing on anime, I just have an attention span worse than a goldfish. I don't know how he got my Insta. He may have found me through Facebook, but I never looked into it. I had since let go of any grudges that I had had against him. Happy to see an old friend, I responded with a simple, "Hey, it's been a while. How are you?" We had a good convo that lasted about 20 minutes or so. I wasn't paying too much attention, so the time frame may be a bit off, but it felt like around 20 to 30 minutes. He apparently still watched anime, commenting on the busts and butts of his favorite anime characters when we talked about it. I told him that I didn't watch anime anymore, and I preferred nostalgic shows like Invader Zim or other early 2000s shows that I grew up on. Get that angry beavers! The first red flag was that he pretty much knocked down those shows, saying that they were too dumb for his big brain to want to watch. Second red flag was him commenting on how
my chest had grown since 7th grade.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to wear binders yet, so all my pictures was of me in baggy shirts or me trying to cover them. I was uncomfortable, but I didn't call him out on it. Mistake. Then he called me my dead name. I don't have my name or preferred pronouns in my bio, so I corrected him. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't go by that name anymore. I'm trans, so I go by name, and I use he, him pronouns now. Not exactly what I said, but very similar. This quite obviously upset him, leading to him starting to rant, calling me homophobic and transphobic slurs, claiming that I
led him on
by still looking feminine in pictures I had posted, and by being nice by responding to his DM. He kept trying to make himself feel better, saying that
he was too good for my lying whore self.
He then went on to accuse me of trying to
turn him gay.
That's on you, bro. I was practically pissing myself laughing by that point. I didn't take the transphobia to heart, since I get it a lot, and it doesn't affect me anymore. God, I wish I had a screenshot. Before I could even respond, he blocked me, and I haven't heard from him since. I deleted the chat and moved on, still laughing at it to this day. And that concludes our tale of WeebBeard the Smelly. For now, that is. I haven't heard anything from him yet, but I'll be sure to post again if I do. Well, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast. I can only wonder how long he was sitting, scrolling through your Insta. He's like, oh my god, she's so hot, I'm gonna send her a message. And then he finally sends you a message and you're like, oh yeah, I'm like basically a boy now. He's like, you're trying to turn me gay. It's like, no dude, those feelings were inside you. before you ever sent me a message. What is going on here? Oh, thank God I'm too old to identify with basically any of this stuff. Nobody was trans when I was in high school. I mean, they might have been in their head, but they wouldn't come out and say it. Now you've got this entirely new social landscape that honestly I don't understand it 100%, but as long as people are happy, I guess that's really what's most important, isn't it? It seems kind of shitty that that dude basically like crawled out of the woodwork only looking for a relationship instead of like, hey, we could be friends for a little bit and kind of get to know each other, reignite our old friendship, which OP seemed willing to do, but instead he's just like jumping in with both feet like, hey, can I put my penis in you? And she's like, I want to have a penis too. Oh God, I don't even know what's going on. So I feel a bit bad for WeebBeard the Smelly. Obviously he's you know, a bit of a social outcast, but he'll find his own. Like one of these OPs said a few videos ago, none of us are our best selves in high school, so don't sweat it. You know, we all had those awkward moments. The only difference is now we have the internet to to record these awkward moments, and they travel down through history. Woo! Isn't that fun? So glad I missed out on that. Like, yeah, I guess these YouTube videos will stick around, but there's a pretty big difference between the things that you'll do or say to fit in when you're 12 compared to the things that you'll do or say when you're 32, you know? I find most of what I say defensible, or maybe I'm just, you know, set in my ways. But anyways, friends, I hope that you've enjoyed this episode. If you did, I hope that you like, comment, and or subscribe. Check out the links in the description to Twitter, Discord, my other channel, and Patreon. And as always, I'd like to give a big shout out to my beautiful patrons. We have a new patron. Oh my goodness, what a donator. We are hitting some big numbers. Thank you so much to Barlos Bugo, Just Dawson, Robert Allen Waits, Nathan Crimson Albedo, Lady Nix, Damon Darkstar, Nico the Legend. I appreciate each and every one of you for helping me to live the dream. If you can donate, that's much appreciated. If you can't, don't worry about it. I just appreciate you being here. That is super cool, especially if you listen this far. Because on YouTube these days, it's all about the watch time. That's why I'm making big old beefy videos for you guys. But anyways, I hope you'll join me for the next one. Probably some more neckbeards, maybe some entitled parents. Am I the asshole? I don't know. That statement fits in two different ways. But anyhow, I hope you'll keep yourself safe out there. Wear your masks, wash your hands, do something that you enjoy today. I highly encourage that because you are worthy, you are loved, you're definitely worth it. And I will see you in the next one, friends. So until then, bye-bye. Just like most neckbeards, they had zero awareness of